guys, welcome back to Oak & Barrel Meats. This is another one of our Homestead 101 Homestead Help videos. I was actually just out, Ryan and I were just out moving the pigs to their new paddock, and I actually thought this would be a perfect opportunity to chat a little bit about having pigs on your farm or homestead. Pigs honestly are probably one of my favorite animals to raise on a farm or homestead. After I got chickens, pigs were the next animal that I got when I was just growing for my family. I raised a couple of Berkshire pigs in a small paddock, and we fed them the leftover scraps from our home and extra milk, and they thrived and did great and provided us with tons of meat. I think it was about probably a year to 18 months worth of meat that we got from them. And you know, pigs are they're just super easy, in my opinion, to raise. They take a couple of key things, and as long as you meet those needs for them, you pretty much shouldn't have any problems with them. Now, they do take a little bit longer to raise than, let's say, like a broiler chicken or even a turkey. Most pigs take between 6 to 12 months to raise to butcher weight, depending on the breed of the pig. We raise Old Spots, which is a heritage breed. They are a bit slower growing than some of the other, like a Berkshire or Hamp, or even some of the crosses that you might get, but they are less slow, I guess, is that a way to say it? They're less slow than something like a Mingalitsa or the American Guinea Hogs, and they do get to be full size. Both those two breeds are a smaller size pig, where the Old Spots get to be, 300 pounds, 250, 300 pounds. So some of the key things that you need to remember when raising pigs, I think just like with any animal, is shelter. Pigs are pretty easy. They could do well with just some shade if you're in a more temperate climate. Obviously, if you're in the snow or extreme heat, you want to give them a little bit more shelter. You're going to have to decide that depending on where your farm is located. If you are, like I said, in a more temperate climate, just some shade, whether that's a stand of trees, one tree, or a shelter. I can actually post I'll do a little cut in right now of the shelter that Ryan and I have made for our pigs, and this is a movable shelter because we do move our pigs to different paddocks each week. You don't have to do that. You could do a solid or a permanent shelter, but some sort of shelter for them to get out of the sun and to get out of the rain, or if it's too cold, to kind of just snuggle in together. The next thing that they need is fencing. We use electric fencing. As you could tell, that's kind of a theme around our farm. Because we do rotationally graze our animals, we like the versatility of electric fencing. So for the pigs, we use Pig Quick Net from Premier One. We've used it for a while now. We used to use the full-size 164-foot, 48-inch net fences, and they got to be a bit cumbersome for us. So we went to the Pig Quick Net. We love the Quick Net. They're 100-foot lengths. They're easy to handle. We can drop them and put them back up very, very quickly because they're not cumbersome to move. And we energize it with an IntelliShock charger that we also got from Premier One. We like the Quick Net because it's raised about 6 inches off of the ground. So if they root any mud or dirt or soil up, it doesn't bring the fence down. Like I said, if you're moving paddocks, shifting paddocks, then that is the way to go. If you're not going to shift paddocks, then field fencing or cattle panels / hog panels, either one of those would be fine. And as far as the amount of space that pigs need, they don't need a ton of space. Pigs are very, very happy creatures as long as they have food and a place to get out of the inclement weather. When I had pigs on my homestead, when I first started raising pigs, I think I had them 2 pigs in maybe a 20 by 20 pen. They had a little cement pad that had a little roof over the top of it. They had their water and feeder, and they were very, very happy pigs, and they were very delicious pigs. Now, here on our farm, we do rotationally graze our pigs just because we have a larger group. We run 15 to 20 at a time, and we run those in about half-acre paddocks that we shift every single week. And you can do that, or you can have them just in their pen. Another important thing to remember for your pigs is water. Now, pigs love water. So their drinking water needs to be secure enough that they are not going to knock it over, they're not going to tear it apart and create a wallow for themselves. So there are a couple of different watering options that you could do. Actually, there's probably a plethora of watering options that you could do. When we had just a few pigs, we would use 50-gallon drums with pig or hog nipples drilled into the side of them, and those worked great. Right now we're using a Brower waterer, and we like it. We have a little bit of leaking issues going with it that we need to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on, but it's an 85-gallon tank, so it holds a lot of water. It's easy to move, and we really like it. You could do a hog nipple attached to a hose, maybe attached to a T-post. There are many, many different options that you could do. If you just Google pig waterers, there's lots of choices that you have. But it's really important that your pigs always have fresh, cool water. Because they don't sweat, you need to make sure that they always have cool water to drink if it's hot outside. Speaking of water, another important thing for your pigs is a wallow. A lot of people don't want their pigs rooting up or, digging big holes in the dirt, but we're firm believers in making sure that our animals get to be as natural as possible. And as natural as possible for a pig is having a wallow. They love to roll in the mud. They love to just lay out there and bake in the sun and wallow around in their water. So it's really important for us that most of the time our pigs do have a wallow that they can enjoy. And that's something that you're going to have to decide what's best for your farm and your homestead. But in our opinion, it's an important thing to have for your pigs. The other thing that you need to consider is feed. We use a commercial hog feed just because we have so many pigs. It's not feasible for us to grow or just feed our pigs on scraps. And because we are selling our pigs by the cut, it's actually against the law for us to feed scraps to our pigs. But they do get plenty of fresh vegetables from our garden, as well as an organic, non-GMO corn and soy-free hog feed. Now, if you have just 1 or 2 pigs on your homestead, you could probably make up a lot of your feed by growing for your pigs and giving them scraps from your house. However, it is super, super important, no matter what you are feeding, if you're going to feed them from scraps from your home or what you grow, that you are getting the right balance of nutrients for them. You need to make sure that they're getting all of the minerals and vitamins and proteins and calories that they need, no matter what you're growing for them. So if I were to suggest to you, if you want to feed your pigs food scraps and things like that from your home, that's absolutely great, but also offer them free choice feed. That way they have the choice to make up that difference if they need be. And more than likely, you'll probably find that your pigs will go for the food scraps and the fresh vegetables and things like that before they go for the feed. But at least you know that they're getting the right amount of minerals and nutrients that they need by offering them that commercial feed. Now, a lot of people question how much you need to feed your pig. We go by the rule that we feed 1 pound per day for every month in age that a pig is. So for example, if your pig is 5 months old, he or she is going to get 5 pounds of feed per day. And that goes all the way up to 8 pounds per day. So we feed our feeder pigs at 8 months of age. We feed them each 8 pounds of feed per pig per day. Now, we feed them 3 times a week. You could feed your pig 1 time a week, and most pigs are pretty good about not just devouring all of their feed at a time. You're going to need to just keep an eye on your pig and see how fast they're growing through their feed, or if they're, making it last through the whole time. We like to feed our pigs often, just because that makes them a little bit more tame, so when it's time to load them up to go to the butcher, they're ready and willing to follow us because we need food. So that's why we feed ours that way, but you're going to have to decide what works best for your family and your farm, if you want to feed them once a week or just a couple of times a week, or go out there every day and feed them. Finally, there's butchering. So obviously you're raising your pigs most likely so that you can butcher them to provide food for your family, and that is a great thing to do. There is nothing better than home-raised meat and vegetables. It will taste like nothing else you've ever had. Actually, funny story. when Ryan and I first started dating, I offered to cook him dinner, and I told him to come over and that we were having pork chops for dinner. And he proceeded to tell me how he didn't particularly care for pork chops. They weren't really his favorite thing to eat. And I said, well, you know, too bad, I'm making pork chops, basically. And it was pork chops that I had raised from our own pigs. And when we had the pork chops, when I cooked up the pork chops, he said to me that those were probably the best pork chops that he has ever had. I'm pretty sure that that was when he decided he was going to marry me, because I could cook. Anyways, raising your own meat is, you know, a great thing to do. Like I said, it's probably going to be the best meat that you've ever had in your life. So when it's time to have your pig butchered or butcher your pig, you have two options. One, you could butcher it yourself on your farm, which is awesome. A lot of people do that. There are many, many videos on how to butcher pigs. You can look online on YouTube and learn how to do that, which I think is a really great thing to do, so that you understand the different parts of your pig and the different cuts that you're going to get when you break that pig down. The other option is to take your pig to a butcher. Now, lots of people take pigs to butchers, and I see very many times where people are disappointed in what they get back from their butcher. And part of that is the fault of the butcher, and part of that is the fault of the person taking their pig in there. Now, I'm not counting about, you know, shady butchers that are taking meat. Obviously, that's a whole different story. But it's very, very important that you understand what you are going to get back from your pig when you take it to the butcher. Part of the weight of the pig is bones. Part of the weight of the pig is fat. Part of the weight of the pig is skin, feet, head. You know, there's going to be lots of things that you may not take into account when you are butchering your pig. So if you take a 300-pound pig in there, you're not going to get 300 pounds of meat back. A good rule of thumb is when you take your live weight and you butcher your pig, you skin it and gut it, you're going to lose about 30% of that weight. Now, when you go from, that's called your hanging weight or your rail weight. And when you go to do your cuts from your rail weight, you're going to lose another about 30% in bones and trim and other types of things. So you're going to take your live weight and you're going to subtract 30%, and that gives you your hanging or your rail weight. And then your hanging or your rail weight, you're going to take another 30% from that, and that's going to give you the amount that you're going to get back in cuts. And that's not all cuts. Some of that is going to be fat. Some of that is going to be bones. So it's really important that you understand what you are going to get back from the butcher when you take your pig in. And it's absolutely okay, and you should ask questions to your butcher. And your butcher should be very happy to explain to you the different cuts that you can get depending on what you choose, because there are some things that you can't get both of. For example, you cannot get a bone-in pork chop and a tenderloin at the same time, because the bone-in pork chop is part of the tenderloin. So you have to make your decision on which one that you want. So you definitely should talk to your butcher about your wants and desires, and your butcher should be very open to taking the time to talk to you about what he or she is going to do for you. And I would suggest that if your butcher is not open to talking to you, maybe find another butcher. Now, I know that is a hard thing these days. Trust me, I see all the people talking about how hard it is to find a butcher that they can, one, get an appointment in, and two, that does a good job. And I totally understand. We actually had to leave the butcher when we moved from California out here to Kentucky. We left a butcher that we had worked with for over 5 years and had standing appointments with, and we have to develop a whole new relationship with somebody, and it's proving to be a little bit difficult. So I definitely feel your pain, and if you're raising meat for your family, this might be a perfect opportunity for you to learn how to butcher yourself. Maybe get somebody that already knows how to butcher a pig to come and walk through it with you, so that you know what's happening and you have those options of getting the cuts that you want. So I hope this quick video has given you a little bit of information about what it's like raising a pig on your farm or homestead. I hope this has given you maybe a little bit more comfort in having that happen on your farm or homestead. It's a really great thing to do. Pigs are one of the easiest animals, in my opinion, to raise, and you get a very large amount of meat from them. So I would suggest that it's a great starter animal to start with, growing your own pigs to fill your freezer with. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Check the link in the bio for all the different homestead videos that we've done. And if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the comments and we'll be happy to answer them. Thanks, and bye for now.